Welcome to Heart of the Guardians, where forgotten souls, untamed lands, and forbidden loves of the Wild West come back to life. If you believe that every heart hides a story worth telling, then stay close, this one will haunt you long after the fire dies. The wind carried sand and sorrow across the plains that evening. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky bruised with purple and gold. A lone rider, his hat low, his duster trailing behind, moved across the ridge with the tired gait of a man who'd seen too many sunsets and buried too many dreams. His name was Cole Maddox, a cowboy with no home, no kin, and no promises left to keep. He had been riding for 2 days without rest when he spotted smoke rising from the valley below, thin, fragile, uncertain. Not the kind that meant danger. The kind that meant someone needed help. Cole reined in his horse, eyes narrowing. A wagon lay toppled near the creek, the wheels broken, canvas torn. He dismounted slowly, his boots crunching over the dry grass. At first, he thought the place was empty, until he heard it. A faint whimper, a woman's voice, trembling. He approached cautiously, hand near his revolver, and then he saw her. She was sitting beside the wreck, her dark hair tangled, her dress torn, her skin the color of desert honey. Her eyes lifted toward him, deep, defiant, and full of something that pulled at him in a way he hadn't felt in years. "You hurt?" he asked, his voice low, cautious. Her lips trembled. "Only my pride," she whispered with a faint smile. "And maybe my heart." She was no white woman, that much was clear. She looked Apache, or maybe Mexican, though her accent was soft, not sharp. There was grace in her movements, even in her exhaustion. He knelt beside her, glancing at the broken wagon. "You alone?" She hesitated. "I was traveling with someone. He didn't make it." Her gaze drifted toward a shallow mound nearby, freshly covered with sand. Cole removed his hat, bowing his head slightly. "I'm sorry." She nodded. "I buried him this morning. Then the coyotes came. I thought I'd be next." He stood and looked around. The prairie stretched endless and empty. No sign of anyone else. "You got a name?" "Marisol," she said. "It means the sea and the sun. But out here, I'm just another lost thing." Something in the way she said it caught him off guard. "Lost, like him." He looked back toward the mountains. "Nearest town's 20 miles west. You won't make it on foot. My horse can carry 2, if you ride light." She looked at him, unsure. "Why help me?" Cole shrugged. "Guess I've seen too many graves lately." She hesitated, then stood. "Then I'll go with you." That night, they camped near the river. The fire cracked and popped, sending sparks into the dark. Marisol sat wrapped in a blanket, watching him with silent curiosity. "You don't talk much," she said finally. "Nothing worth saying," he muttered, sharpening his knife. "You've got eyes like the desert after rain," she whispered. "Hard, but something's still alive in there." He froze for a second, meeting her gaze. "You talk too much." She smiled faintly. "Maybe, but when a woman's lost everything, words are all she has left." For a while, they sat in silence. The wind rustled through the cottonwoods. An owl called in the distance. She looked into the flames. "My people didn't want me," she said softly. "And neither did the white men. I lived between 2 worlds, and belonged to neither." He listened, saying nothing. "I thought I'd found someone different. He said he loved me. Said he'd take me east, marry me proper. But when the wagon broke and the bandits came, he ran. Left me there. I found him dead the next morning." Her eyes glistened. "I buried him anyway. I still believed love meant something." Cole tossed another stick into the fire. "Love don't mean much out here. Only survival." She looked up at him. "Then why'd you help me?" He didn't answer right away. The flames flickered in his eyes. "Because maybe I'm tired of surviving." The next day, they rode together under the scorching sun. Hours passed in silence. She clung to his back, her hands resting lightly on his sides. Every breath, every movement, every heartbeat felt strangely alive again. When they stopped at a watering hole, She cupped the cool water in her hands and splashed it on her face, laughing softly. It was the first time he'd heard her laugh, and it sounded like wind chimes in a forgotten chapel. "You know," she said, "you could have left me. Most men would have." "I'm not most men," he replied. "I can see that," she said, her tone softening. "You wear your loneliness like armor." He looked at her, half smiling. "And you think you can take it off?" She stepped closer, her eyes locked on his. "Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I just want to stay close enough to feel what's underneath." That night, as they set camp again, something shifted between them. The air grew heavy, charged. She sat beside him, her hair brushing his arm. The scent of sage and smoke filled the night. "Cole," she whispered, "when we get to town, what will you do?" "Same as always," he said. "Drink, sleep, ride on." She nodded slowly. "And what if I asked to stay with you?" He looked at her, unsure if he'd heard right. She held his gaze, her voice trembling but strong. "Let me stay. I'll give you more than any white woman ever could." The words hung in the air like a prayer and a curse at once. The fire cracked. His jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're saying." "I do," she whispered. "I know what I feel. You saved my life. You look at me like I'm more than a burden. No man ever did that before." He turned away, his breath uneven. "You think you owe me something. You don't." She moved closer, placing a hand on his chest. "I'm not offering out of debt, Cole. I'm offering because I want to live, and I want to live with you." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he reached for her hand and held it, rough against soft. The firelight painted gold across her skin. "You don't belong in my world," he said finally. "Then let me make a place in it," she replied. "Even if it's just for a while." That night, the moon rose over the plains, silver and silent. Their shadows melted into one beneath the stars. But the Wild West had no mercy for love. By morning, the horizon burned with gunfire. Bandits, the same men who had attacked her wagon, had tracked them. Cole's instincts kicked in. He shoved Marisol behind the rocks, drawing his revolver. "Stay down." The bandits circled. Bullets whined past. Cole returned fire, steady, precise. But there were too many. Marisol grabbed his rifle. "I can fight. You'll get yourself killed. Then I'll die with you." Her words hit harder than the bullets. She fired once, twice, one man fell. But another shot whistled through the air and struck Cole's side. He stumbled, gritting his teeth, firing back until the last man dropped. The silence that followed was deafening. She ran to him, blood soaking through his shirt. "No, no, please." He tried to smile. "Guess we made a good team." "Don't talk like that," she sobbed. "You're not leaving me, not now." He lifted his hand to her face, his voice barely a whisper. "You gave me something no one else ever could, peace." She pressed her forehead to his, her tears falling onto his lips. "I love you, Cole." He closed his eyes. "Then live for me, Marisol." His hand fell limp. The desert wind picked up again, carrying away the last warmth of his breath. Days later, when the townsfolk found her, she was sitting by the river where they had camped the first night. His hat rested on her lap. She didn't speak, didn't cry. She just stared at the horizon, waiting, perhaps, for the ghost of the cowboy who had given her one night of belonging in a lifetime of exile. They buried him under a lone tree, where the grass still grew green even in drought. She carved his name into the bark with his own knife. Cole Maddox, a man who remembered how to feel. Then she walked away, her shadow long against the evening light. No one ever saw her again. But sometimes, when the wind blew through the canyon, travelers swore they heard a woman's voice whispering through the sage. "Let me stay, I'll give you more than any white woman ever could." And maybe, somewhere beyond this world, the cowboy still waits by the fire, hat low, smile soft, waiting for her to come home. Because in the end, the Wild West wasn't just a place of dust and death. It was a place where even the lost could find a moment of grace, and a love that outlived the stars.